Hey, it's MK and I am back with another Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and I really quickly wanted to show you guys the sketch. There it is. Just like so. And it is also Take Out Your Tools Tuesday. Yes, it is. So before we get started in all of this, I wanted to show you guys that I just pulled out a few scraps that I had in my, I call it an industrial grunge bin. It's basically my boy bin. And I had a couple 6x6s that I got in a kit. This one, I think the Kaiser Craft one's actually 6.5. And that's why it looks kind of larger. Anyways, I had a few little pieces of paper left from the Kaiser Craft mat. I got some papers in a kit many moons ago, and then that's where this piece came from. This was just cut off from somewhere, and then so was this. All right, and then I also have my two photos and a background paper just to get it easy. And what tools are we working with? Well, today is the last day for our metal dies that we are playing with, and it is image dies. Now we've played with frames, we've played with shapes, now we're playing with images. And the images that we are going to be playing with, did we? No, we played with backgrounds. We played with backgrounds, we played with frames, now we're playing with images. And although I have lots and lots and lots of images, I mean, I've got, you know, nautical images all the way to florals and snowflakes, and this one happens to be my favorite. I don't I have a lot, you guys. I invest more in my tools than I do in anything else because these guys I can get multiple uses out of. You know, I don't have to keep buying an embellishment pack or anything like that. So I feel like the tools are where the greatest investment is, because I don't have to keep buying. I can make my own. So at least that's my thought process, and if I have time to make my own, that is also you know, in there. So I just don't want anybody to feel bad because it's like, oh, I don't invest tools because I don't have time. I get it. I completely get it. So anyways, these are all of my gears or industrial type dies. Now, some of them come with stamps, and some of them are standalone. Some of them are the chunky dies. Some of them are the thin dies. Okay? I don't know what else other than thin and chunky that there are. I don't know. So anyways, I just kind of wanted to walk through what my dies are. Now this one here just is steampunk parts. So you've got some swirly gigs, some circles that make it look like portals or you know, vent covers. And then you've also got these ones here that you can't hardly see right here, and they make it look like bolt heads. That's what those are for, like washers and bolts. Okay. And then I've got two of these. This is Gear Gadget 1 and Gear Gadget 2. And so there's just two different types of gears. You can tell that, you know, they're used, you guys. I love these. Now, one of my favorite reasons to have chunky dies and thin dies is thin dies are great for paper. The most I've done with these is glitter. And I've tried felt. It doesn't, you have to run it through about 2 or 3 times to do felt. But these guys here, chipboard, grunge board, felt, fabric, veneer, you know, thin veneer, not real thick, but yeah, it's amazing. So this one here is called Voltage, and it's got like a little gauge. It's got a needle. This right here fits a stamp set that he has. I chose not to get the stamp set. This is the little frame for the gauge, you know, like if you want to put it inside something. And then again, more bolts, and you can't see those very well, more bolts and washers. Okay. And then the last one is called Filament, and it's a light bulb. So you've got the light bulb, you've got the little squiggly, well, the filament of the light bulb, the screw-in part, and then this one where the filament goes around. I love this one, you guys. All right, and then I've got 2 more, which I thought that I had one. Oh, it's right here. Ha! This one here is called Pipeline, and so it is plumbing. Still the same thing though, right? I think so. Most industries that I've seen all have the gears and the pipes and the gadgets and all that stuff. So this one here is called Industrial, and it's got all the tiny little gears, but it's also got a belt to go around the gears and make it look like they move. Things like that. So that's that one. You know, they're well loved. This one here is a border, so you only get half the gears, but it still makes a really, really cool border. Yes, it's well loved. And then I have some ones that go with stamp sets, and they have standalone gears inside. So here's a cluster of 3 vacuum. Well, that's not getting it. There we go. So not only does it have the outlines for the stamped images, but it also has these great clusters right here. And then this one's really cool too, because it fits in here and it says, you jumpstart my heart, or Dad. So yeah, I like the all geared up to celebrate. Or you could just use all geared up. This one here, I believe, just outlines the stamps. I don't think it has standalone dies in it. Whoop. Yeah, but it also has the belt. So here's the stamp that has the belt on it, and then there's the cutout for it. This one has the inner cutout for this larger gear, or I believe it's this one. I don't know, I think it's this one that it does, and then it also has the cutout for this huge cluster as well, and then of course more circles to cut out the circle gears. Okay, or the clock. I forgot about the clock. And then this one, this was awesome. This was such a happy discovery. Now I bought, I believe I bought these dies, and I think I did, and I didn't realize that they were not standalone dies. Some of them are, and some of them are not. I thought I could use them as standalone dies. When I started looking around, you needed a stamp set. Well, I couldn't find the stamp set when I was looking around, and luckily my my really good friend JoJo here, I think she's Cali Beach Girl or Beach Girl Cali, I can't remember. I apologize, JoJo. But she found this stamp set and gifted it to me, and I thought, oh my gosh, you have got to be kidding. You have no idea how amazing that truly was. Okay? So, and she didn't know. She didn't know I had this. She didn't know. She just saw gears and she bought it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. You girls that have Tuesday morning around you is just special. I love that. And then this one here also, it's another Kaiser Craft one, and it also just cuts out the stamps. So it cuts out the inner bits of the stamps and the outer bits of the stamps. So again, it's a really cool die to have. These ones here are Tim Holtz's little mixed media. I haven't put a magnetic sheet in these yet. I'm lazy. But I absolutely love all of these tiny little gears. They're absolutely perfect. And I bulk cut these. So if I'm going to do that much effort to do one layout, I actually bulk cut. So that way I can use them for later. I fill up a little bin that I have, things like that. So, and then these ones are by, give me a minute, Spellbinders. And these ones have an emboss and cut. So these little bits right in here, those little bits, those little dots, and these little bits right here, they emboss. I don't know how, but that's what they do. And then if you flip it over, that's what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, this was like one of my very first sets that I've purchased right here. Okay, so that is by Stampin' Up. And then I have this one by Tonic Studios, This one is a gorgeous clock with hands, and then on the other side are the workings of like a pendulums and a pendulum clock and whatnot. So really awesome. Now these ones are uber thick dies. Now these ones are not the same as, I believe this is another Kaisercraft. Yes, it is. This is another Kaisercraft. They're standalone dies, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to explain this in a minute. I just jumped from talking about what these were to talking about these. But this one here is kind of like another gauge, and it could also be a clock if you wanted it to be, but because of this line right in here, it tells me it's a gauge. But these are standalone dies. This is what they look like when they're supposed to be cut out. But anyways, so these are thin dies, and their grooves are uber thin. Do you see that? Do you see how uber thin those are? And then you look at these, and look at how uber thick those are. Can you tell the difference? I know this isn't a very good representation, but do you see how thin these are and how thick those ones are? Because these ones are made to go through thicker materials. So they're thin dies, but they are made for more like thin chipboard or like a mixed media type is what these are. So it'll have to have a different sandwich than these dies do. Now, I don't talk very much about sandwiches because the machine that I own, I can't remember what they called these specific dies, but they do have a name. Anyways, I don't talk about sandwiches very much because my die cut machine is, for one, it only lasted a year when it was sold. And so it definitely does not, it doesn't match anything else that is on the market today. So I just put in, depending on if I'm using this die or these dies, I have 2 plates for this one, 3 plates for this one, and that's it. The more intricate dies, like this, I have a metal plate for. That's it. There's no magnetic plate. There's nothing. So I have to use washi and all that stuff. But I choose not to go to another machine because mine's electric. So it's a manual machine because I have to use these dies. But all I have to do is, like sandwiches on the plate, and then run my plate through and it sucks it in and spits it out the other side. So that's why I don't talk very much about sandwiches, because I don't have all those plates. I don't have flip this and flip that and put this here and put that there. I have 3 plates, and I just remove one if I'm using these. I use all if I'm using these. I cannot use the metal plate on these because they are uber thick. It will, my machine, if it's too thick, it won't allow it to pass through. It spits it back out my way, because it recognizes that it's just too thick. I can't make the cut. And so, yeah, that's all there is to it. Anywho, I just wanted to share with you guys what I will be playing with instead of having a grid like here on the sketch. I was thinking instead of having this grid in the background, or if it is a if it's a pattern, I'm sorry, there was a bug. If it was a pattern paper, I plan on using dies. So I'm going to make a background using dies and then have my papers going through my photos. Okay, that's my plan, Stan. That is what I plan on doing. And I love, these are the dies I love, you guys. Yes, I love my snowflakes, I love my flowers, but these are the ones I reach for the most. They're the dirtiest dies I own. And yeah, I look forward to playing. All right, let's get going. After I've cut off a few pieces, I wanted to show you guys that using the Biggs die, I cut some rather thick chipboard, and I plan on spraying it with this Tea Color by Heidi Swapp. And then I cut out some thinner chipboard, I was just showing you guys the difference, using the metal dies that were from Tonic Studio. And I also cut out the papers at the exact same time, and I plan on gluing them to each other. This is just me telling you guys that what I had used. I also used this florally, coppery, bronzy paper to cut out some more of the Big's dies. And to be honest, I did not like that print at all. I didn't know what else to do with it, so I just cut it out, and then I sprayed it with the bronzer by Heidi Swapp, and that helped out a lot by hiding the florally bits. So after I sprayed, everything is going. I was just showing you guys again the chipboard that I used. Sorry, where are my words? Everything is over on the side drying, and now I am figuring out how to cut my papers. Actually, I disappeared. I've already backed my photos using just a plain ivory because it's going to have a lot of color on the, behind it, using the paper strips as well as the gears. Now, I do have to say, again, I went rogue and it didn't come out exactly how I had envisioned it, but I still really, really love it. Even though it didn't come out. We'll just say that. So I flipped the pictures in the sketch, but I am not flipping the sketch. Does that make sense? My banners are not going to be banners, but I am going to just have paper strips going behind my photos, and most of them are going to stay on the left side, but they do kind of venture in more to the right as well. They just don't go all the way to the right. So yeah, that is how I imagined it. Now I'm trying to figure out, one, placement, and two, how am I going to get all of this to stay together? Well, I'm going to glue my photo to all the pieces. That is how I'm going to get it. Now, with the photo being crooked and my papers being straight, this doesn't really work out exactly as I intended it to. And of course, I am off camera for some of it. But basically what I'm trying to do is make sure that the papers are at least straight with each other. But I already glued the photo, or I already taped the photos together. And so I kind of, if it's straight, it's straight. If it's not, it's not. Yep. That's how it's going to work. And now I am just, I had to take my 6x6, or actually it's more like a 6x2 piece that I cut off of that, like that loner gear paper. I definitely had to make sure that it was straight because I had to cut it to make sure that it was long enough for all of my pieces. I hope I'm making sense. So now I am just making sure, again, I just want to make sure that the paper strips are straight up and down. It doesn't bother me if my photos are not. With that one being wonky, then the other one could be a little bit wonky as well. So I am looking for a pen or a pencil. And actually, I have to tell you guys that I lose a lot of things during this video. I lost my scissors, I lost my liquid glue, and what you guys don't get to see is me looking for them. It's just like a dead screen. So I am so sorry, but my desk is a mess. I need to take a few minutes and figure it all out, figure out, what on earth. So I do know I want to layer a couple gears together. I just don't know exactly where I want them just yet. And after I place a few gears down, I did want to use this one that was at an angle, and then I thought, well, I'm going to cover up most of it, so I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I do want to layer some gears up. I definitely want, my clusters to have a couple colors of each each gear that I have chosen. I've got like a brownie gray. I've got, like a bronzy gold. You can't even tell that those one gears are floral paper. You just can't tell. I love it. I am double checking to make sure that when I place my gears down that I am not covering them up with pictures. I don't want to glue all that stuff down and then end up covering it up. I mean, that would be travesty. So travesty, is that a word? That would be a travesty. Yes, that's how I'd say it. So anyways, off camera again, I am gluing some gears together. I think my camera moved because I don't remember having to have my paper that far up my desk and that much room to be able to like glue those pieces down. So I'll have to look at that. I really will. This is the second video that I've noticed it being weird like that. So I'm just trying to figure out how I want to layer my gears. I know I don't want the same color on top of the same color. And it takes me a minute to remember that I have these little faux bolts to use. And so that is basically what I'm gluing in the center of this little pulley system I've got here. I love doing this, you guys. It's so fun gluing all these things down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue each little cluster down. Basically, I'm following my pencil lines that I have created earlier. And for each cluster, I am going to put the photo back down to make sure that enough of the gear is showing, because I don't want to accidentally, not be able to see it. So like where I had that green gear that now doesn't look so green. Anyways, where I had that green gear, the polka dotted paper would have covered it all up. So yeah, definitely am trying to figure out, where all these pieces are supposed to go and things like that. So each cluster is going to be exactly the same. I just want to make sure that, when I place it down, it's going where it needs to go. And I do like the fact that this cluster of gears, this stamp of cluster of gears, they are going down and then they wrap around to the front. So I really like that. Now I'm ready to commit all of my little pieces. I do put a lot of adhesive on because I've got all these little bits that are barely hanging on by something else. And so I wanted to make sure that when I put the glue down, I had enough. Now I also did not smush it all the way down to the paper so I can still tuck things underneath. So I wanted this one gear with the pulley system. I kind of wanted it to definitely be in front instead of behind the papers. For one, it's got some chipboard in it. And for two, I just really thought that it was a good element. So, and here's where I kind of go rogue. I felt like some of the pieces were blank and, not like that gap. I liked it at first, and then when I started adding the gears, it kind of felt lonely. So I filled in the gap just by using some more gears, and I think I got the grid okay. I mean, it does look like a grid of gears behind my layout, but then I started adding some of the gears in front of, and so it's like, oh man, I just went gear crazy is basically what I did. I absolutely love, I don't know how many times I can say it, but I love gears. So the second pulley system I am putting together, if I would have been thinking correctly, I probably would have had it go the opposite direction as the one that I already created, but I didn't think about that until the very end. And here is where I'm looking for something. I think it's my scissors that I'm looking for. Yes, it's my scissors because I wanted to cut I wanted to cut this foam dot in half. Well, it's not a dot, but you know what I mean. And so changed my mind on what gear I wanted to put on the other side because I felt like the other one, I wanted to see the pulley, but it didn't, in all technicality, it didn't fit. It didn't look real. Not that it's supposed to, but no. So I also, because I glued chipboard on top of chipboard, I also put some foam adhesive down before I glued the pulley down. So the pulley is glued to the page, and then the gears are glued to the pulley, but then also supported by foam. So, and now I'm going to go crazy with some more little add-ons into, in front of the paper instead of behind. This gear right here I should not have done because after a while I realized I have to put my title down, and that's where my title's going to go. So I'm going to put chipboard on top of chipboard, and yes, it's a hot mess. But I don't realize that until after I am almost complete with this layout and ready to, put the title on. So
Anywho, just trying to figure out, one more little bit that I wanted at the bottom. I just, for some reason, wanted to put these little arrows down, and I guess just use them up. They have no purpose whatsoever. There's no other arrows on there, but just using them all up. That's what I'm doing. So that's when I realized that the gear is going to be in the way of the title. Yep. I have no idea what I'm going to do or how I'm going to remedy that, but I just decided, you know what? I'm going to put my letters down, and I will, cross that bridge when I get there. That is exactly what I'm going to do. So just going to start putting my letters down, and I don't make you guys watch me put the black letters down only because I have to glue them all down with the liquid glue, because they are not nowhere near sticky at all. So there they are. I just glued the bottoms of the O and the U, which I actually used Q's. I just turned them upside down. I didn't even bother chopping off the Q part because of the fact that, I just felt like it matched. So I thought maybe this side needed a little bit of gray on the gears, and then I decided, nope, I'm good, and she's done. That is it. Here is my layout for today. I hope you guys are enjoying this little series. I am enjoying this series. I just don't know why I am a little bit behind, but that's okay. It's not a race or anything like that. Please be sure to check out everyone else that is playing along. Their videos have probably been active now for like all day, but that's all good. And make sure you guys check out the Facebook group. The Facebook group is amazing. She posts the layout a day every day, and then everyone posts their links or their photos down below on that same sketch, so that way you can see all the different variations and things like that. Plus, this is round 7, so there are 6 others in that Facebook group that you guys get to see. That is a lot of inspiration. That is a lot of sketches. Anyways, I will check you all tomorrow. See ya.